everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl LB if you don't know me. Today I'm coming to you guys to give you the tips and the tricks and everything you need to know to survive your first year of graduate school. So if you're interested in everything that I have to say, stay tuned. Okay, so just some background. If you don't know, I know I've been missing for a while, but if you haven't watched the video on my channel about me moving to DC and coming here for graduate school, then go watch that first. But just some background, of course, my name is Labria. I currently attend Howard University. I just finished my first year of graduate school and it was a long ride. But I think I got some really insightful information, and a lot of self-reflection helped me learn what's the best way to navigate graduate school. So my graduate program, I'm actually in a school psychology master's program at Howard. And it's a 3-year program, 2 year of classes, 1 year of full internship, and it's pretty strenuous. I know a lot of people that go to graduate school and do master's program, they might pick a program that's a year, maybe 2 years, 3 years is kind of excessive, but this is just a program that was a good fit for me and what I want to do in my future career, so that's what I decided to go with. But with that being said, it does take a lot of time and effort. That's just some background. So now I'm going to go into some tricks so y'all are not waiting all day to get the information you came here for. Okay, so my first tip on surviving graduate school starts at applying. So you want to apply to a school based on the program that you want to do, the accreditation of the school, and maybe the program, the location of the school, and also the credentials. So for me, I go to Howard. Howard is a name that is well known. It's a school that is well known. It's one of the top HBCUs and top universities in the country. So when I'm done with school and I'm going into the field, I'm not from a school where nobody knows where it is. And that's not to say that schools in the middle of nowhere are not good schools, but when it comes to getting a graduate education and one that's actually renowned that people will recognize, it's better to go to a school that has some credentials, has some accreditation that is well known when it comes to being in the job market and, you know, having a good resume, cover letter, all of that. So you want to think about the school that you're actually going to, the program, because some schools so for example, the school psychology program, I looked at a bunch of different schools before I applied to Howard, but Howard was still my first choice. But school psychology programs at different schools look differently. Now, most school psychology programs are EDS programs, which are education specialist programs, and the program I'm in is a master's of education, but it's a specialist equivalent program. But that's a whole nother story for another day. I'll dive into that deeper later on. But to say that, you know, at the end when I'm done, my degree will say Master of Education, and then I know that it's a specialist equivalent because it's the same amount of classes, same amount of effort, credits, everything, but it looks differently on paper. You want to think about the accreditation of your program, of course, depending on what field you're going into. You also want to really think about location. So for me, Howard is in smack dab in the middle of DC, okay? I currently live in Maryland, about 15 minutes out of DC, and if they open campus in the fall, I'm not gonna know what to do for real. I'm gonna have to figure it out because location in grad school is so important. You don't want to move somewhere and you're not knowing what to expect, kind of. So when I came here, I knew that it was going to be busy. I already did my research. I knew how the functioning of the city, but of course I wasn't here to see it for myself. But if you're going to a school, let's say in the middle of nowhere, and you get an apartment and you're not staying on campus or whatever, and you don't know how to get around, you don't know the distances it takes to get from one place to another, that's something you definitely need to consider before you move there and decide to go to graduate school there, because you're going to be there for at least the next couple years and you want to be well prepared. Going on to tip 2 is you want to prepare yourself for your coursework based on the amount of credits that you're going to be taking. So grad school is different from undergrad, of course, but what's the biggest component that's different from undergrad is the full-time status. So if you're going to graduate school full-time in graduate school is 9 credits. Full-time in undergraduate school is 12. So even though it's a smaller number, the work is not smaller, okay? So my first semester and my second semester, I took 15 and 14 credits both semesters. So way more than the normal for graduate school, which is why my program, I say, is so strenuous, because it's not the average amount. And a lot of people who go to graduate school don't even have that type of time to do 15 credits for graduate school, because they're either working full-time or have kids or have families or anything. So you want to make sure that you know the amount of credits that are required for you to at least finish in a certain period of time. If you're more open to finishing it and you're more flexible, then that's different. But if you're like in a 2-year program and you want to be done in 2 years, you need to know how many credits you're taking so you can prepare for that mentally, academically, all of that, because it's not a joke. Grad school is not a joke, and having all those credits that you're taking can get overwhelming with everything else you got going on in your life, especially in graduate school, different from undergrad. But yes, just prepare for the amount of credits you're going to be taking. Tip 3, so you're going to read your syllabi thoroughly. That's assignments, the readings you're going to have to do, when things are due, the contact information for your professor, how they prefer to be contacted. If you have a TA, their information. You want to read your syllabi thoroughly for every class, because every class is going to be different, and their professors are going to be different in what they expect and the assignments they have, the amount of reading they have. Graduate school readings are one for the books, okay? It's so much reading in graduate school, especially depending on the program you have, but you can't like BS reading for graduate school like you can for undergrad. I mean, you can a little bit, but if you don't know the information, you don't know the information. And what makes graduate school different from undergrad, you don't have all these extra electives and stuff you're taking to just fill in space. These are all classes that directly relate to what you're trying to do in your future career, and this really focused in, really intense. So you want to make sure that you're up to date on everything in each professor's syllabi, so you don't miss anything and you don't have any gaps, and you're actually retaining the information you need to know when you're going into your field. Okay, so tip number 4 is to build a relationship with at least one professor. So of course, more than one is, ideal, but not really realistic. Sometimes you might not click with every professor. Some might be more difficult, some might be more hard to contact, but you want to try to build a relationship with at least one professor, because when it comes to applying for jobs, applying for internships, or any of that, you want to make sure you have a point of contact that you know you can rely on for that rec letter, for that reference, like anything. You want to build a relationship with at least one professor. So pick correctly, pick one that's reliable, because you will need them in the future. And number 5 is just going back over and staying up to date with your readings and your due dates for your assignments. So I know in grad school, I did a lot of projects. I did a lot of projects that include a paper, a podcast, reading this, doing a PowerPoint on this, and that was all one assignment, technically. So it's easy to hear final project and be like, oh, I got a final paper, but really it's so many other steps. So you want to make sure that you are up to date with what is required for each class, for each assignment. If you have to do literature reviews, if you have to do peer reviews, if you have to do PowerPoints, if you have to do presentations, you need to know all of that, and you need to have those due dates somewhere. So whether it's in your planner, whether you put a note in your phone, you want to make sure you have that a point of reference to remind yourself to do something by a certain date, because it's easy to forget certain due dates if you have so many other classes, so many other things going on in your life. You want to make sure that you're writing that down, preferably at the beginning of the semester, and you're checking it regularly so you know to stay up to date on things, because it's easy. It's very, 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 very easy to miss things. Listen from me. It's very easy to forget things. So I just had a flashback. But yes, that's tip number 4. Okay, so tip number 4 or 5, one of those. Do mid-semester check-ins with yourself. A lot of advisors require mid-semester check-ins and a semester beginning semester check-ins, but you want to make sure that you're doing these check-ins with yourself, and not just academically, mentally, emotionally. Like, are you okay? Because here for me, my first semester, I was more focused in. Then my second semester, it just kind of like like went down, and my grades I wouldn't say per se went down. My grades were fine. My grades were amazing, but I was checked out mentally, and I was just functioning on like autopilot. And it got to the point to where it was like, it was such a routine. I didn't feel like the same passion that I felt when I first started my program. And then I realized that I needed to check myself mentally and make sure that I was okay. So that was some self-care days. Some days I didn't go to class, and I made sure that I knew that information in the future if I needed to know it. I made sure that I regrouped with my friends or whatever. Sometimes you just have to take that time to yourself. And it's easy to get wrapped up in things. I'm telling you, it's very easy to be so stuck in routine that you don't do what you need to do for you. And that's something you should always be prioritizing with anything you do, whether it's you're already in your career, whether you're working full-time, part-time, have a family. You need to make sure that you're together with yourself mentally, so you can put your best foot forward academically in graduate school, and also academically, because mid-semester, that's when things might start getting jumbled up, get more serious, get more intense. You want to make sure that you're up to date with everything, so you're not rushing at the end of the semester to get everything done. And I did that my whole second semester, so take it from me, it was not fun. It was not fun. I wish I would have functioned the way I did my first semester, but you know, we all make mistakes. But you want to make sure you're doing these mid-semester check-ins with yourself, because they're very important, and you should always be putting yourself first, period. Next tip. My last tip is going to be build a sense of community. So when I moved here, I didn't know nobody. I didn't have any friends. I knew nobody in the area. I was coming here fresh, clean slate. That's the video for another day. But it was really important for me to build a sense of community with like my cohort, or get involved in something in the community or anything, so I didn't feel like I was all alone completely. So I did make friends with people in my cohort. We did get close. We did hang out. We did all of these things, and they were able to hold me accountable, and I was able to hold them accountable when it came to grad school things as well. And in the future, when we start applying for internships, or we start our practicum and all of that, we're gonna have each other to rely on personally, and not just professionally and personally. So building a sense of community in grad school is more than important, especially for me, especially if you're thinking about going to grad school out of state like I did. You want to make sure you build that sense of community, because it's very easy to feel alone if you're somewhere alone, somewhere new where you don't know anybody. And in my case, in virtual grad school for my whole first year, it's very easy to feel like you don't have anybody. And building a sense of community helps in so many areas of life, but especially in grad school, when you're trying to make sure you keep up with those assignments, when you're not connecting with your professor, but your friend is, so she can give you like the tips that he gave her, she gave her, who they gave her. You want to make sure that you don't isolate yourself if you don't have to, and most times you don't have to. So you just want to make sure that you're building that sense of community, so at the end you don't have to feel like I was in this all alone. You need to make friends, be open, just be open to meeting new people, because that's very important in grad school, and professionally, personally, all of that. Build your sense of community. Well, that's it for this video, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was very informative or whatever. I am going to make another video about Howard and moving to DC. If you have any questions that I can put in that video or answer in that video, please leave them in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because you're gonna be seeing me on your screen more often now. Okay, I will see you guys later.